Jewish people didn't understand this. One Jewish guy talked to me about it. He said, I want to know why these things are so important to you. So that ends in verse 11. Now we're going to go to verse 12. Section verse 12. Verse 12. Now, if the fall of them be the riches of the world, and the diminishing of them the riches of the Gentiles, how much more their fullness? Israel has been set aside, that is, God is not dealing with them as a nation at this time. When God uh, does begin to deal with them, they won't have any problem with the Arab. That conflict will be completely resolved. Israel will not live in fear because God has made it very clear that every man is going to dwell in peace and tranquility. But they shall sit every man under his vine and under his fig tree, and none shall make them afraid. For the mouth of the Lord of hosts has spoken it. That's Micah chapter 4 and verse 4. Now, since their setting aside has brought the grace of God to Gentiles, what about the grace of God toward the Gentiles after the Jews are received again? It will be multiplied. James made it clear that the great council at to the great council at Jerusalem, he said that God is calling out from among the Gentiles a people for his name, just as he has called out Israel. Then God says, after this, I will return and I will build again the tabernacle of David, which is fallen down, and I will build again the ruins thereof, and I will set it up, that the residue of men might seek after the Lord, and all the Gentiles, and upon whom my name is called, saith the Lord, who doth all these things. That's Acts chapter 15, verse 16 and 17. This is my reason for periodically making a statement that sometimes puzzles folks, that the greatest revival took place on this earth before the church got here. I use the word revival in a popular sense of the returning to God. A man by the name of Jonah went into the city of Nineveh and saw the entire city turn to God. It is true that there was a great turning to God on that day of Pentecost, which marks the beginning of the church. But what was the percentage? Pentecost was a feast in Jerusalem to which all male Israelites were required to go. There must have been several 100,000 Jews in the environs of Jerusalem. Now many were saved. Well, judging from the record, there were probably about 10,000 who were saved after the first few days of preaching. This is actually a small percentage. And the greatest revival since then took place in the Hawaiian Islands. The percentage there was probably 50%, but that was small in comparison to Jonah's day. And I believe that the greatest revival will take place after the church leaves this earth. Actually, the church was not has not done too well. I believe that after the church has been raptured, multitudes of Gentiles will turn to God, not only in the Great Tribulation period, but in the millennium. Gentile nations will enter the millennium, and a great many of them are going uh, to like the rule of Christ, and they will turn to God during that period. I believe this will all with all my heart. And that concludes that